You know, I gotta say, I've been on a roll with my predictions and commentary lately. I have to pat myself on the back. Here's a guy who gets paid a lot more than I do
Hell yeah.
to say what I've been saying now for the past few weeks. Here's Frank Luntz on Morning Joe describing the apparent downfall of the Donald Trump campaign.
Initially, when Joe Biden, Democratic nominee, Trump was playing on his turf, reaching out to his voters. And that's why you saw 2, 3, maybe even a 4-point advantage for Trump. These were people who were disappointed, disengaged with the Democratic Party. Now it's exactly the opposite. These are ex-Republicans, ex-conservatives who are looking at Trump and his personality, the whole Trump van's ticket, and they're saying this is not what I want. I want to be clear about this. The two issues that matter most are immigration and inflation. And on those issues, Donald Trump still has the advantage over Harris. But on these personality traits, Harris has a tremendous advantage over Trump. And there are people who had voted for Trump in 2020 that will not vote for him again because they're tired of his rude and abusive behavior. He is literally losing this election. And I'm starting to wonder, does he want to lose? Is this something that's going on inside his head simply because he doesn't want to be president for 4 more years? Because no sane person would campaign the way Donald Trump is campaigning.
There you go. See, so if I wanted to really grift, I could just send a tape into MSNBC and I can get the big money because that is precisely, almost word for word, what I've been saying for the past month. And it is still backed up by the data. If you look, this is very, very recent, August 14th to August 16th.
Well, I mean, Keaton, you're doing the segment, but you're not really absorbing the segment. What he's saying about Donald Trump, we could just as easily say this about you. You could be working for one of these big polling firms. Instead, you're over here fucking around on YouTube. You don't want to really make money.
Yeah,
you're intimidated. You're intimidated at the idea of making that Frank Luntz money.
I'm afraid of success. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
But here, if you look, this is a very recent poll, August 14th to 16th, CBS News, YouGov poll. So this is not from a month and a half ago. This is from right now. Trump, 13-point edge on the economy, 23-point edge on inflation. That is almost too much math for me to do. 52-point edge on the U.S.-Mexico border. And these are, as Frank Luntz just said, the most important issues on the minds of voters. So why, then, has Kamala taken a lead now in the average of polls, up 1.4? If I had to guess, since I'm on a roll with guessing right, I would say after this convention, she's up anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 points in the nationwide popular vote. And a big factor behind this is, as Frank Luntz said, likability, favorability. Look at that big spike in blue favorability just in the past few weeks here. Went from Trump having a 3-point edge in likability on July 16th to just to now a 3.7 percentage point deficit in likability on August 12th. Now, that huge spike in likability for Harris, is that a function of propaganda and state media? Sure. It's also a function of not mouthing off like a moron and shooting yourself in the dick everywhere you go, every chance you get. As evidenced here, here's Donald Trump at this most recent rally here in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
She called it wrong. She's called it wrong now for about 8 years. But she said one thing that got me. She said Kamala has one big advantage. She's a very beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. So I decided to go back and reread the clause. I'm not saying he's, but I say that I am much better looking than her. I think I'm much better. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, you know, I had never heard that one. They said, no, her biggest advantage is that she's a beautiful woman. I'm going, huh. I never thought of that. I'm better looking than she is. And her speech yesterday, she hasn't done anything, but she's prohibited from laughing. They said, your laugh is horrible. Never laugh, ever. So she's walking around with her mouth like almost sealed shut. She won't laugh. I want her to laugh. And then we'll just claim victory. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much.
All right, now there's one more that we're going to play in a minute.
Okay, now, honestly, that's the Trump Catskills comic thing. You like it or you don't. Like, I don't really feel like that hurts him. I don't know that it helps him.
Not helping is hurting in the home stretch of the campaign. Yeah, but this is not January. This is not, hey, I'm going out and road testing my new shtick. Like at this point in 2016, the campaign that he won, he was reading Steve Bannon's speeches off a prompter. He wasn't up there doing shtick about how his opponent is stupid and ugly and how she laughs weird. And that explains why, despite this massive lead on the most important issues, he is neck and neck in the polls with her, losing on average right now. And likability matters to the kinds of people who swing elections. This is what Frank Luntz is getting at. Yeah, they're with Trump on the issues. But the thing is, the people who swing most elections, not 2016, obviously, where there was this actual like populist surge and wave of rage. But those years are not the norm. Those are the exception. Normally, the people who swing elections are normie, moderate voters who, at the end of the day, don't really have much at stake in who wins or loses. Yeah, they would rather cheap gas than expensive gas. They'd rather affordable groceries than unaffordable groceries. But the normie moderates who swing elections, they own their homes. They're fairly comfortable either way. And they vote based on emotion, especially women in a post-Roe America. I'm not saying women are emotional. I'm saying in a post-Roe America, there's a little more at stake than just whether you come off like an asshole or not. That likability factor is mattering tremendously. I told you this was going to happen a month ago. And a lot of people say, oh, you don't know what you're... That is what's going on right now. That is what explains this. And the button is, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is unrelated to Kamala Harris. You talk about classic Trump shtick. What do you think the most significant invention of the past, 20 years has been, folks? I'll give you a guess and then see what Trump thinks.
I had to play it back. I love the playback controls you have nowadays. They used to call it TiVo. Now they have TiVo. I think it's the single greatest invention. It's better than television, because television would drive you crazy if you couldn't do a playback, right?
TiVo is the single greatest invention. You turn on Wheel of Fortune.
I was going to say Betamax, then I remembered TiVo. TiVo's been what, like 25 years ago? TiVo came out in the late 90s, something like that. Like TiVo's been around forever. You don't have a more updated reference than TiVo? Yeah, so he is he's way off message, as I knew he would be. As soon as the first DEI meme of Kamala I saw in late July, I'm like, all right, this looks like it's going to go sideways, and it did. And then you have TiVo.
yeah, exactly. So that's how you blow a campaign. And now you're heading into a convention. She's already up 1.5. Now you're going to go into a convention. She's likely to come out 3.5 to 4. And if I had to guess, since I'm on a roll here, my guess is at the debate, he's going to feel tremendous pressure to change the narrative, and he's going to be a totally bombastic, obnoxious prick and blow it even more.
I mean, given that we've been watching Donald Trump in the public eye for a while, that's probably a pretty good bet. He was very disciplined in the debate with Joe Biden, but he was feeling very confident. We both commented, wow, he's listening to his advisors.
Right.
They told him, like, just let him go, just let him bury himself. Don't bully him, just let him speak for himself. This time, yeah, you're right. He's going to feel the pressure. And he doesn't have a Bannon. We did that segment on Anita Dunn. She seems to feel his people are very capable. And they very well might be, to be fair. I have always felt that Donald Trump was made out to have a lot more political skill than he actually does. He's always been very lucky in his enemies. and he had Steve Bannon. And because of his enormous ego, he did not keep his Karl Rove by his side as he should have. And if he had, we'd be finishing up Trump's second term right now. There's no doubt in my mind Bannon would have gotten him reelected. Bannon would have made him a popular president, I believe. And I'm not saying it's because he would have been a great president, but for the same themes that Bannon honed in on and had him run on, he would have had him govern that way. And those themes, if turned into policy, would have made him very popular with a lot of the country. Instead, because he doesn't really have a particular ideology, he doesn't have any particular ideas about how to govern, he just kind of let Mitch McConnell and the gang tell him what to do, and he did it.
Right. Yep. And that could very well be, now he's got, a couple of hacks running the campaign now. There doesn't seem to be any messaging. There doesn't seem to be any urgency. He doesn't seem to be running this campaign as if it's, life or death for the country. I mean, we used to hear him talk about, if we lose this election, we won't have a country anymore. Well, it doesn't really sound like you believe that. You don't sound like this is, a battle for an existential fight for the future of the country. I mean, it seems very casual, seems very loose, seems very directionless. The convention speech was also a sign, right? I mean, the convention speech was a nightmare. He could have put this election on ice with that speech. He just got shot the week before. He could have come out and delivered a powerhouse speech. Instead, he comes out there. If you wanted to make a speech about, like, getting along with foreign leaders and being anti-war, which he tried to do a little bit, you could have, like, written it and delivered it that way, as to, we have adversaries. Adversaries don't have to be enemies in the nuclear age. We have to, get along with countries whose way of life is different than ours. There's a way to articulate. He goes up there. His version of that was, I get along with people. We get along. We like to get along. I get along with a lot of people. I think they miss me. Send me a nice letter. I got along with them very well. Some people don't like that I get along, but I get along. It's like you want to fucking...
And please try to fish.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's just like no effort. No effort. It almost seems like he is trying to lose. That's what he speculated there at the end of that clip. I don't think that's true, but it looks that way to me.
I don't think that's true, because he's the same as he's ever been.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. He's the same as he's ever been. And while Kamala might not be a competent candidate, Biden's people were, and they have gone over and essentially run her campaign.
Right.
And they're running it the same way they ran the Biden campaign. Hide them.
Right. Exactly.
They're hiding her as much as possible and saying, let Trump go out there and implode, because it's a safe bet that he will.
Please clap.